Hi guys! I'm here to tell you some Korean folk tales. And I just finished 장화 홍련전, the last episode. So I'm back with another folk tale. It's called 콩쥐팥쥐. So that's, excuse me, that's another story of two girls, two sisters. So 콩쥐 and 팥쥐, those are the names of the two girls. And speaking of their names are very unusual. How I told you about 장화 and 홍련, they're very old-fashioned, but still, if somebody told me, oh, like, hi, my name is 장화, or hi, my name is 홍련, I would think like, oh, the names are very old-fashioned, but still somewhat sophisticated. But 콩쥐 and 팥쥐 just don't really mean anything. I don't know. G actually means rat or mouse in Korea. So I don't really know. And another one, 콩, a type of grains. 팥, a type of grains. 콩 is like red bean. Koreans enjoy it. 팥 is, it's kind of like another type of red beans. No, hang on. So that's red bean. Okay, wow, I didn't even realize this. That's red bean. Red bean. Oh my God. Red bean. And 콩 is actually kidney beans. It means kidney beans. So 콩쥐, 팥쥐, literally, kidney bean rat. Red bean mouse. That's what it means. So sounds really strange, right? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, sometimes the traditional names are really strange. I don't really know why they're like their names are like that. It's just so interesting. Okay, good. Anyways, going back to 콩쥐팥쥐. 콩쥐팥쥐. Okay, so once again, I would like to encourage you guys to at least learn Korean alphabets so you'll be able to read. Korean language is, after learning the alphabets, like you'll be able to read. You have no idea what they mean, but at least you will be able to read. So that's 콩쥐 and 팥쥐전. Like I told you before, this means story. Okay, so there were two girls, but of course there was this main girl. Her name is 콩쥐. She also has long braided hair. What does that mean? It means she's single, right? And she had obviously father and mother, but this story doesn't really talk about the mom and dad. One thing about the mom, she was like, she's not in the story, which means she died when 콩쥐 was very, very early, very young. And 콩쥐's father, this is 콩쥐's father. Dead. Do you guys know the Korean word for dead? 아빠, right? 아버지. So 콩쥐's dad remarried. He got married again. And this time, 장화 홍련전, the stepmom, she got married to 장화 홍련's father first. And then she had 3 boys. So they're like half brothers, right? But in this time, the stepmom, I'm going to give her frowned facial expressions again. I am not happy. There's a girl here. The hair bun. She brings her daughter. Again, she's not happy. I'm going to be mean. From her first marriage or second marriage, or like she could be a love child, who knows. Doesn't really say too much about how the stepmother has another daughter, but so this daughter, that's 팥쥐. It's 콩쥐. Okay, so that's one package. So that's stepmother. We say 계모. I don't really know what 개 means, but 개 means step and mo means mom. So the stepmom and 팥쥐, they came along. They came to 콩쥐's house, 콩쥐's place, because dad got remarried. So this is how the story goes. But then from here, the father somehow disappears. They don't really talk about the father from the beginning of the story to the pretty much the end. Yeah, doesn't really talk about it. So from here, 콩쥐's misery starts. So, well, I've got the eraser tool, so I'll just change her face. Looking sad. Nobody's on my side. So here, well, here the stepmom gives 콩쥐 a hard time by making her run errands, do chores, and it's not just the chores, because we're talking about like a long time ago. Again, we're talking about Joseon Dynasty. This the dynasty, which means, you know, like the time that we used to have kings and queens. So of course there were like, you know, we also have like, traditionally we don't really have the slavery from different race or like people from different countries, but we have like servant system. So they were Koreans, but they belong to the government. So yes, like all those things that like when one of the servants became old enough to get married, and their masters would match make them. So okay, so 사월이 is just about to be 17 this year. 장세, how old are you now? Oh, I am 18. Okay, then you guys live together. So whether they wanted or whether they liked each other, sometimes that's how they, you know, it's like ended up being together, tying the knot or something. And sometimes this could help too, like, you know, so 장세, how old are you? Oh, I am 18, but I actually have a crush on 사월이 master. Can I? Then this master is like generous, is like, you know, generous enough to ask 사월이. 사월 actually means April. So April, 장세 is somewhat interested in you. What do you think? Like, you know, it's like you are about to be 16, so you should get married. What do you think? And then many times still in Korea, like women are not supposed to, I mean, like they're not supposed to give direct answers like, I don't like him, I like him. Like, so like, I don't know, well, master, why don't you decide for me? It means yes, right? It means yes. So then they sometimes end up being together or something. So anyways, yeah, that was I don't want to say slavery, but like the servant system. But she's not servant. 콩쥐's not servant. 계모 and 팥쥐, I think they were in a level of noble men. But many times in Korea, traditionally noble men means that they don't work. They never make money, or they never agree, like they never work in the field. Men never did it. So if you were married to a nobleman with not so great, like I would say line of families with like not enough money, then which means it will be a woman's job to go out and like do some other people's chores, or like you work in some other people's kitchen. I still make this mistake sometimes. And you make some extra money and you bring it back. Noblemen's job are only for reading books and understanding Chinese characters, and you will be this you will how should I say this? You shall perform for the government. Pretty much. So yeah, so like, traditionally, you're supposed to be this government person or like government officials, so that you will bring honor to your family and such. So I assume that Kongji's family is somewhat like that. That Kongji's father came from some royal, I shouldn't say royal, some noble man's family. But then the father somehow didn't really do a good job. So like the rest of the members kind of like suffer, right? So so I'm assuming like Kongji's family didn't really have servants. So in that case, that's all woman's job, right? Like cleaning the room, getting the water from the well. Like, you should know that, like, throughout the history, not so many people had a well inside of their houses, right? Like, so before all this water pipe got settled down, like water pipes got all introduced to the whole city, we all had to run to the well and then take some water to the house. So I'm pretty sure there was a servant who actually mainly would go to the well and grab water for the whole family or the whole house. It's like sometimes you watch TV and like so and so charity groups, they show this, like, children from Africa, they have to take the water and they have to walk like 4 hours, like returns, but like the water is still not even clean. So traditionally we all had to do that. So the stepmom gives so much work to Kongji. I had to go through a lot of the work that she had to do. So that just became her life. Well, now that who knows where the father is, and the stepmom comes, and Pachi doesn't really do anything. So stepmom treats Pachi, her own daughter, like a princess, and then she just abuses Kongji, like clean the kitchen, cook some food for your sister. Well, she's thirsty. Go get some water. So like she has to run all the errands and like she has to do all the chores. And guys, before going further with the story, I would have to tell you that this is the Korean version of Cinderella. So who would be Cinderella? Kongji. Yeah. And in the story of Cinderella, there are a bunch of stepsisters, right? There is only one here. And Pachi is a lot more evil, combining all the rest of the stepsisters in the story of Cinderella. So you will know as the story goes along. So remember what happens? Like how Cinderella meets this prince? In Korean story, she's not meeting a prince. I mean, like, there was a prince in Joseon Dynasty, but like, she doesn't meet one. I think she meets some kind of like socialite. I don't know if I can use that word to men, but she gets to meet this like kind of like socialite. But also he happens to be a son of Sato. Do you guys remember Sato from the from the early story, 장화 홍련? Sato, or I don't know, what was the word? What was the other word? Yeah, that's very traditional word. So like I don't even remember. Yeah, forget it. I forgot the word. So Sato's son, so which means he's like very top rank in like noble men. So there was this party. Traditionally, we don't say party, we say 잔치. So sometimes we say, oh, 파티가 있어 in Korean, but older people tend to say 잔치, like birthday party. We, like the younger generations, we tend to say 생일 파티. 생일 means birthday. 생일 파티. That's how we usually say, but a lot of times they also say 생일 잔치. That's very natural too. And the only time that we say 잔치 in a very kind of like comfortable way, I would say 잔치 국수. I don't know if any of you guys tried those like the basic white noodles with like warm soup, the hot soup. It's called 국수. 국수 just basically means noodle. But if you want that specific type that I just told you, that like it's with warm soup and white noodles in it, it's called a 잔치국수. Koreans tend to eat noodles on some kind of celebrations. On somebody's birthday, it's mainly birthday parties or the wedding receptions. We don't have reception, but all the guests who are invited to the wedding, they get to be served like the lunch or the dinner, and they always tend to serve noodles. Noodles have kind of like iconic meaning for live a long life because noodles are long. So yeah, so there was some kind of 잔치 that people said Sato's son would be there. But that wasn't the purpose of being to somebody's 잔치. Traditionally in Korea, 잔치 is pretty much for everybody. Like there, like no invitation needed. Only like the special people or people who are in an important roles, like in the social community or society, like those ones should be invited, because if they didn't get you to be invited, then like they'll get upset. What? There was a birthday party and like they didn't even invite me. Oh, I like that hurt my feelings. But for just like common public people, you just walk and pass by their house, and if you smell something nice and like, oh, like there are so many people here, do you guys have some kind of party? Oh, it's like, I don't know, it's my master's the only daughter's birthday party. Ooh, I want some food. Then they just go in. Like you don't need any invitations for those kind of things. And traditionally, if there are intruders for your parties, you don't kick them out. You don't call police in Korea. That like we in a way, I think Koreans tend to take those people as guests too, because it's a good thing that we are celebrating it. So that it's like more the merrier. These days, some people actually commit crime, like interrupting. Well, I shouldn't say interrupting, but like barging in somebody's wedding, and they pretend to be like bride's friend or groom's friend or something. So anyways, let's not go too far with that. I'm sorry that I got carried a little bit far. So let's come back to 잔치국수. Okay, so like there was some kind of 잔치 in the village. So how I explained it to you, everybody wishes to go because it's so rare to have a chance to eat meat, because everybody was poor, right? So like when there was one kind of some kind of like 잔치, some kind of party, then like maybe I can have a bit of meat with like meaty stew or soup. That's what everybody was going for. So again, the stepmom and Pachi were very excited about this 잔치, and so was 콩쥐. Like I told you, it's like if you were just available for that time at that party was taking place, you could just run and you could just sit there and wait for your food, and nobody was kicked out. So she was also like she couldn't wait, right? Like she was really excited about that too. But then when the actual day came, stepmom comes up with an idea. I will give lots of work to 콩쥐, so she would have to complete all the chores. Then then you're free to join the 잔치. I will be at the 잔치 with your stepsister Patji, and we'll wait for you. Okay? And then these two just went to the 잔치 place. So now 콩쥐 was ever so sad. 콩쥐's like, no, I'll never be able to finish the story. And now she's covering her face, and she's crying. I have nobody who can help me, and I'm not even sure if I can finish all the work today, within the day, because that was like too much work, guys. I will give you a list. I will give you a list of what she had to do. So number one, she had to weed a field. Number one, 밭을 매다. Guys, I had to look it up, look all those words up in the dictionary, because I mean, I don't do it. I was born and raised in a city, so I never really did any agricultural work. So this time I actually, so 밭을 매다 means weed field. So she had to take all the weeds. That was number one. Number two, oh wow, can you imagine? I mean, depending on how large the field would be, but still it would take hours and hours and hours weeding the field. It would take forever. It's just one person. She's only just one person, right? And number two was she also had to take the water. Guys, do you remember that there was no well, or there was no clean water system, water pipe in Joseon Dynasty? So to get the well, to get the water, to get the clean water and keep it at home, there was a large jars. There were large jars, and you had to carry water. You had to go to the pond, or no, not the pond, a stream or a well, and you have to take some amount of water, and you carry it on your head or on your back, and you go back home, and you pour it in a large sized jar, and then you go back to carry more water. So if you were one of the servants, then maybe one of your master's family members would like to take a bath that day, which means you have to wake up early and you have to carry all that water, go back and forth. And then when there is enough amount of water, then you also have to boil the water, because there was no heater and no boilers or anything, right? So number one was getting all the water and 독을 채우다. Again, guys, never mind. These are all like kind of like I don't want to say agricultural words, but people don't really say this. But when you learn a language, what is important? You say things that you want to say, and you are able to understand what they're saying, right? I never really learned nursery rhymes. So if anybody asks me, I don't really know any nursery rhymes, but when they talk about it, I kind of know what they talk about, right? Because my mom never, it's like read nursery rhymes when I was sleeping or something, anything, because my mom's Korean. But through and through, I pick up things. So this isn't the expression that you must memorize it. People use it all the time. But when they talk, when Koreans talk about some kind of stories or something, this is pretty common thing. So it says 독을 채우다. So 독 is jar. 채우다 means fill. 채우다, people use it all the time, not 독 so much. But anyways, so that was number two. So can you imagine, again, depending on how large this jar is, obviously it's not just like a bucket size from Baskin Robbins. It's gonna be how many more times bigger? At least I don't know, 1,000 times bigger. And at this age, I'm guessing 콩쥐 and 팥쥐 were also what, 14, 16 years old. So if you think about it, then it would be 10 times, at least more than 10 times of trips to the well, to the stream, right? So that was number two. Oh, guys, number two, it's not over. There's number three. There's number four. There's number five. So number three was pounding rice, which is important, because you know what all Asian people eat their main food. Their main food is rice, right? So when you harvest rice, the first thing that you have to do is you have to peel the rice. After you peel the rice, sometimes we make 떡국, right? Like the sticky rice cake. Then those ones you have to pound the rice, and we make kind of like flour texture. Powder, sorry, not flour. Flour means wheat. That's not what I meant. Kind of like powder type. So when you pound all the rice and it became all soft and fine, then you add water and you mix it and you make rice cake and you make 떡국, like things like that. So that was kind of important. So she had to do that again, depending on how much rice there was. It would take the whole day, right? Oh yeah, there's number 4. Number 4 is weaving hemp. When I say hemp, this people still kind of say it. It's 배. Many times we say 삼배. Because 삼 is the material, the actual material, and 배 is the clothes that you make from 삼. So weaving hemp. So you get so hemp is like so like that's the material, right? So you take hemp and you weave it. So you make so at this point, I guess that's not the piece of clothes. This is still like you make strings, like basic materials to be able to hemp clothes, to make hemp clothes. So that's the final assignment that she had to do. Oh my God. It's called, hang on. So that's pounding rice. That's 벼찍기. And 벼찍기, that was pounding rice. And number 4 was a hemp. Weaving the hemp, that was 삼삼기. And number 5 was finally 배짜기. So 짜기 is similar to See, this is the thing, like all these, especially with number 4 and number 5, this is like, if you think about these kind of work in a modern industry, these are very like specific jobs. Like unless you're a textile designer or unless you're like some kind of like making like clothing manufacturer or fashion designer, like you wouldn't even know what they mean. So again, like I know what 삼배 is, but 삼삼기 and 배짜기 are very new to me. I'm like, oh, this is what it is. So I'm just gonna write it down, what I found in the dictionary. It means at work on the loom. Yeah, I don't. You know what? I know what. I'm not gonna write it down. Number 5, because this is really weird. So, anyways, 삼을 삶고 그런 다음에 배를 짜는 거예요. So that's number 1. 삼을 삶고 number 2. 배를 짜다. So there are 5 things that she has to complete to be able to go to the party. So don't even think about what to wear or like what you can put on your face. Like she's like this. Like every assignment that she was given, it would take more than 1 day. So this is like practically impossible. If you think about it, Cinderella's stepmother is actually better than 콩쥐's stepmother. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the story here because it's almost 30 minutes, and I'll come back for the following story soon. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening. Bye.